Armed with the new information from Tiresias, Odysseus, in Book 12, returns to the island of Circe, where she prepares him for his journey home. As before with Calypso, the goddess tells him where to sail and warns him of the dangers along the way. Chief among these are the sirens. She explains, quote, "That man who unsuspecting approaches them and listens to the sirens singing has no prospect of coming home and delighting his wife and little children as they stand about him in greeting, but the sirens, by the melody of their singing, enchant him." The idea is that the songs of the sirens are so compelling that men forget everything and wish only to hear them. As a result, they languish away and blissfully die while listening. Circe explains, the sirens, quote, "sit in their meadow, but the beach before it is piled with bone heaps of men now rotted away, and the skins shrivel upon them." She gives Odysseus a plan for how he might hear their song and yet remain unharmed. First, he must put wax in the ears of his shipmates so that they cannot hear the sirens. Then he should have them tie him to the mast of the ship such that it's impossible for him to get free. Then he can hear the enticing songs, but will be unable to stop the ship or order it to land on the beach. Odysseus explains this plan to his comrades, and they follow it precisely. When the critical moment comes, Odysseus hears the sirens call to him in their song. Quote, "Come this way, honored Odysseus, great glory of the Achaeans, and stay your ship, so that you can listen here to our singing." They further try to tempt him with their knowledge. Quote, "Over all the generous earth, we know everything that happens." Hearing this, Odysseus is immediately entranced and wants to stop, but following his instructions, his sailors only bind him tighter when he indicates his desire to be set free and bring the boat ashore. Thus, with their ears still plugged with wax, they continue rowing until they are safely out of earshot of the sirens, at which point Odysseus is freed. This story is a variant on that of the Lotus Eaters. In both cases, a kind of narcotic effect is induced that gives the person a feeling of bliss and happiness. This feeling is so compelling that they are led to forget everything else in life. The story of the Lotus Eaters focuses on the sense of taste, while the story of the sirens on that of hearing. While the victims of the Lotus Eaters continue to live a bovine existence, the fate of the victims of the sirens is more radical. They languish and die on the beach since they forget to eat and drink. The story of the sirens sounds like that of a bad drug or alcohol addiction, which comes to dominate a person's life to the point of destroying it. The feeling of ecstasy that's induced is so powerful that it cannot be resisted by sheer willpower. Odysseus, who's otherwise so rational and has been clearly warned, must still be physically restrained from not indulging in this. The point of both stories is that such a life dominated by a powerful addiction is not a truly human existence. The question of knowledge is also relevant here, since the sirens claim to know everything about the Trojan War and everything else that happens. This would of course appeal to Odysseus, who's concerned with knowledge. But the sirens' claim is deceptive, since even if it were true, their victims cannot profit from it. True knowledge means understanding things such as goals and priorities. Knowledge also involves knowing the proper means to achieve specific ends. Thus, their promise is something like that of Mephistopheles to Dr. Faust. In the end, their promise of knowledge is an empty one. Thus, one should be wary of the blind pursuit of knowledge, since this can be one-sided. Simply knowing a lot of individual facts is nothing if it's not accompanied by the faculties of judgment and critical reason. Paradoxically, one can know a lot of things but still be quite stupid.